Hi everyone, welcome and welcome back to the Iowa Homeschool Mom channel. We just finished up with our Trees and Leaves unit study, and we had so much fun with this unit that I just wanted to come on here today and share all of the resources that we've used with you guys. Now, we have lots of Montessori-inspired activities and books to share with you, and most of them are geared towards preschoolers and kindergartners. And with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in, and we're going to start with some of the shelf work. Okay, so on the first shelf, the first activity is a matching activity, and this is a free printable from totschooling.net, and basically your child has to match the colored leaves up to their silhouette, and this is really great for visual discrimination. And toddlers and even older kids will enjoy this activity. I know I've enjoyed this one. And I really like this one because it is a little more challenging than most visual discrimination activities. They have to really look at the leaf. Yeah, that one's a lot of fun. And I will be sure to link in the description box where you guys can find this at. Okay. And then we just have our sandpaper letter here for the kids to trace. So we have L or L for leaves. All right, and then we have some pre-writing, and this is just working on tracing. We just have the different colors of words here, and my daughter worked on tracing all of her lowercase letters. And this is another free printable that I'll be sure to link for you guys. Okay. And then we just have a wooden lacing toy, and this is great for fine motor practice and also is a great introduction to handwork for young children. And this little oak leaf here I found, I believe, on Amazon. Okay. Then on the bottom shelf there, you'll see we have another sandpaper letter for the kids to trace their finger with. So we have T or T for trees. And I also want to point out that after the kids trace their sandpaper letter with their fingers, they also like to write the letters in their sand trays. So just write T for tree. And we did a few different letters this time. They worked on A for acorn, B for bark, and so on and so on. And then we just have a tray that currently I just have all the artwork that the kids did for this unit. So we have a do-a-dot printable. T is for tree. My kids love do-a-dots. They're pretty much a hit every single time. And this is another free printable that I'll link for you guys. And then we have an acorn that the kids watercolored. So I printed it off on watercolor paper. And they had a really good time doing watercolor painting. And my daughter even water painted a little dragon down there, so I thought that was pretty neat. Then I also helped my daughter stencil these leaves. We just used our little Dover stencil book here, and I think this was only like $2, guys. And the younger ones will need help. I just had to like hold the stencils in place for her, but she did a good job, and then she colored them in. So there's one example that she did. Okay, and then super simple, I just gave the kids some puffy tree stickers that I found at our local craft store, and they had fun just placing them on the paper. And then I gave them some markers. And my daughter here, she drew a little forest, she's called it, and she even drew a spider and a person running through the forest. So just let them use their imagination. And as you can see, there's little dots, so she said it was raining. So super simple and super fun. There's that side of the shelf. We'll move on to the next set of shelves here. And on the top we have a leaf puzzle. And this one is really cool. I think anyways. And this is great for the kids to work on logic as well as learning different types of leaves. You have maple, oak, ash, pine, and so on and so on. Okay? And then the next shelf we have another puzzle, and this is a Montessori botany puzzle, and it's the tree. And I usually have all the pieces in a separate bowl here, but for the purpose of this video, I just have it halfway set up already. But this is a really great puzzle to work on those fine motor pincher skills for writing. And you can also use this puzzle to go over the different parts of a tree. So you have your roots, your trunk, your branches, and your leaves. And there are also Montessori 3-part cards that go with this puzzle. They're easily accessible on the internet. Just go ahead and type in a quick search on Pinterest and Google, and I'm sure you can find some easily. So yeah, this is a really good one. And I find this one to be more challenging than most of the Montessori botany and zoology puzzles. So if the other ones are getting too easy for your child, they may still enjoy this one. Okay, then on the bottom shelf here, in this basket, we just have a little balancing tree, and this is by Plan Toys. And basically your child has to set up the tree on the little trunk here, and they have a bunch of different branches and leaves to set on top of each other, and then they have birds that they have to balance on top of the branches. And I'll be sure to insert a picture of what the tree looks like when it's all put together. But this is really great for logic and fine motor skills. Okay, and then you'll notice I just have some different tree cutouts here. And I just talked to the kids about how you can age a tree by their tree rings. And we looked at the tree rings with a magnifying glass, excuse me. And so we talked about how a tree grows a new ring each year. And then I also drew some tree rings on a whiteboard, and the kids would have to figure out how old the tree was. So they would count the rings on the whiteboard, and they'd find out that this tree is 8 years old. So that's really great for counting. And I would have them do these little ones, but they're just so hard to see for little kids. So I just drew it on the whiteboard. Sometimes I would draw 2 and ask the kids which tree's older and which tree's younger, and they had a really good time doing that. So that's another super simple activity that you can do to work on counting. Okay, the last activity we have here is a matching activity. So this is object to image matching. And this, again, is another free printable. And I usually include some of these ones because my toddler always enjoys them. So he would just match. So this is a maple tree with yellow leaves. And then you would have to find the maple tree with yellow leaves and match it up. Maple tree with red leaves. And then they do say on the bottom, these are the Safari LTD tree tubes. They do say on the bottom what kind of tree they are. So this one says it's an aspen tree. And they would have to match it up to the card. Palm tree. And then they would just go on and on like that. Okay. And then on the side here, on the hook, we just have a poster with different leaves on it. And then as you saw before, we do have some, we have pine cone anatomy and acorn anatomy poster up on top of the shelf. And I did get these from like a Nature Mega Bundle pack, but
I'll be sure to try and get the original source of these posters for you guys and link it in the description box.
We also have these leaf and seed identification cards, and these were part of the Nature Mega Bundle pack as well. But these were really great to take on our nature walks with us to help us identify leaves and the different trees in our neighborhoods and the different places that we went for our nature walks. My daughter, oh my goodness, guys, she collected so many leaves these past couple weeks. It's insane, but we had such a good time, and it was so refreshing to just be outside more than we were inside. All right, we're gonna move on to the books now. Okay, so two of our staple books for this unit were Nature Anatomy and the Young Naturalist Field Guide, Trees, Leaves, and Bark. And Nature Anatomy is such a great resource because it goes over the anatomy of a deciduous tree, the anatomy of a trunk of a tree, and you can go over the tree rings again. And it has leaf identification, and trees you might find in North America. And this is also a really good resource if you have older kids that are already doing nature journaling. And they have the different bark of trees. And then you go on to flowers, cones, seeds, and fruits of the tree. So I highly recommend Nature Anatomy if you guys are doing a trees and leaves unit. Then we move on to the Young Naturalist Field Guide, Trees, Leaves, and Bark. And this book is great because for each tree in it, it includes tips on how to find the tree, its lifespan and uses, and then it also gives information about its leaves, bark, and seeds. So I thought this was a really interesting book, and it did have a good number of our local trees in it. So we have maple, there's oak and ash. And then they also include some different activities that you can do with your children. And we ended up making the leaf mobile here. And I'll insert a picture of ours for you guys. But this was a lot of fun. I did have to do a lot of the legwork on it, but that's okay. My daughter had fun collecting the leaves and helping me put them on the contact paper though. Then we have a stack of picture books to share with you guys. And the first one we have is The Fox and the Falling Leaves, which is originally titled Fletcher and the Falling Leaves. And this is about a sweet little fox who is worried about his favorite tree because the leaves are turning brown and the tree is losing all of its leaves as well. And he's worried that his tree is sick. And the illustrations are really gorgeous in this book as well. And there's that one. And then we have one of my favorites is Leaf Man. And this book is so neat because one, it goes over the different types of leaves on the front and the back. And then the kids can look for the different shapes. So this one's are chickens. So the leaves help make up different shapes on each page. So you have some ducks and some geese. Some pumpkins and winter squash. So yeah, again, this is just a really neat book. And you guys can do some different activities with the book. Last year at the kids' story time, they made their own leaf creations. So the place had different leaves for the kids to use and feathers and googly eyes, so they would make their own leaf mans. And we have Lawrence in the Fall, and this was the kids' top pick this year. And this one is about a fox that is supposed to bring a collection for show and tell, but he doesn't have a collection like the rest of his classmates. So his daddy takes him out to the woods, into the forest, to help find his own special collection. And this one is a really great book to get kids to appreciate nature and just like the little things in life. So, again, that was my kids' top pick this year. Then we have the book Poetry, and this is a sweet book about a little girl who writes poems for her favorite tree, and she ends up thinking that her tree is writing poems back to her. And this book, of course, is filled with different poems, and at the end you'll find a little surprise on who was writing the poems back to her. There's that one. And then lastly, we have Countdown to Fall. And this is another book with really gorgeous illustrations in it. And this book is great for counting, but not only counting, it counts backwards instead of forwards. So it counts back from 10, and on each page it kind of goes over different associations with fall. So a lot of them have different types of leaves on each page. So this one is dogwood leaves, beech tree leaves, pine cones. So yeah, so that about wraps it up, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.